Okay, so we're going to do the problem on page 304, problem number 89. So if you want to refer to that, it says that P dollars invested at an annual interest rate of R for 2 years. So we have P dollars. R represents the interest rate. And then we have 2 years. Okay, so that's the information we start off with. It says that the interest is compounded annually. Then the polynomial, so it gives us a polynomial, which is P times 1 plus R, quantity squared, represents the value of the investment after 2 years. Okay, so this is a formula that if we plug in P dollars and R interest rate, that'll give us the value of the investment after 2 years. And notice this 2 is shown right there. Okay, so the first part of the question says if we can rewrite this without any parentheses. So what we're going to do is we have to rewrite it. So 1 plus R squared, that means that I need to multiply 1 plus R by itself 2 times. Okay, so 1 plus R squared is 1 plus R times 1 plus R. Then we need to multiply this together. Now we are multiplying 3 factors here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave P alone, and I'm going to FOIL these 2 binomials. So to FOIL, so we're going to multiply 1 times 1, which is 1, plus 1 times R, which is 1R. And then I move on to the next one. R times 1 is R again, and then R times R is R squared. Okay, now notice here that we have this R plus R. Those are like terms, so we're going to add those up, and that's going to give us, that's equal to 2R. So then what I have is I have P times 1 plus 2R plus R squared. And as the last step, I'm going to distribute now the P inside of the parentheses, and that will remove the parentheses completely. So if I distribute the P, that's equal to P times, P plus 2 PR plus PR squared. And notice I wrote this 2 times P times R because the order that you multiply doesn't matter. So instead of writing it P times 2 times R, usually if you put the number first, it looks a little bit nicer. Okay, so that answers the first part of the question. Now in the next 2 parts, it gives us some information, some actual numbers, and it asks us to find the value of the investment given the information. So that's just a matter of plugging in the values. So in the first one, it gives us that P is equal to 200, and then R is equal to 10%. Now, the first thing to note is that this R, this is the interest rate, but it has to be, when you plug it into the formula, it has to be written as a decimal, in decimal form, not the percentage form. So 10% in decimal is equal to 0.1. And if you don't remember how to go from percentage to decimal, it is you take the decimal and then you move it over to the left 2 spots. So that's why it's 0.1 or 0.10. That would be the same thing. We'll put it 0.10 just for Okay. Now, the next thing is, so all we're going to do is we're going to plug those numbers into the formula. So the investment is equal to, maybe, why don't I rewrite the formula here? So I'm just going to put it down again just so that we have it. So the investment is equal to P plus 2PR plus PR squared. So I just rewrote this formula. And if I plug in these values, you know, the 200 in for all the P's, and then I plug in 0.10 for the R's, 0.10 or 0.1. So I'm going to have 200 plus 2 times 200 times 0.10, or I'm going to write it 0.1 to make sure I have enough room, plus 200 times 0.1 quantity squared. So that's all I did. I plugged in the numbers that I just showed in my polynomial. And then I start simplifying. So here I have 200 following the order of operations. I'm going to have 200 plus, if you multiply 2 times 200, that's 400 times 0.1, that's 40, plus 200. And again, following the order of operations, I square 0.1 first, so 0.1 squared is 0.01. Okay. Then again, following the order of operations, I need to multiply 200 times 0.01 first. So I'm going to leave this 200 alone, plus 40 plus 2. That's 200 times 0.01. And if I add those numbers, I get 242. So if I invest $200 at 10% compounded annually, at the end of the time of 2 years, I would have $242.